Welcome to this episode of the Sports Detective Podcast Show. My name is James Williams, and today we discuss, is horns down disrespectful? Why are we talking about this? Well, Wednesday night, UCF traveled to Austin, Texas to take on the Texas Longhorns, and after the game, there was basically, I don't know if you call it a skirmish, but head coach Rodney Terry basically let his feelings known that UCF players should not be doing horns down whatsoever. So we'll go ahead, guys, here. We'll show you these tweets here. That kind of break down the whole situation here. So before we even get into the video here, basically kind of how everyone, viewed this whole situation here was we didn't see this part here about the horns down. All the first clip that came out of this whole situation was basically Rodney Terry. I'll go up. I won't show you the clip because we'll end up showing you the whole thing here in a second. But Rodney Terry basically saying, that's classless. Don't do that S. That's basically what he was saying to those players, and we're like, whoa, what the heck happened here? So we'll go ahead here and play this video, and then we'll play what Rodney Terry said in the post game, and then we'll kind of discuss all of this stuff. So just kind of bear with me here a little bit. I'm going to kind of catch you up on everything first before I give my opinion on the whole situation. Oh, okay. So that's a different video than I was planning to see. I thought it was basically he kind of says that's classless to like every single player, and he says don't do that. Don't do that. Here's kind of like my opinion on that, guys. I wholeheartedly defend the UCF players here. I kind of, when it comes to taunts or hand gestures in sports, I kind of go with the NBA model of it. Now, this isn't the same in college basketball. College basketball, or even football too, kind of waves, where it's like it seems like sometimes I see guys do horns down, it's completely fine. And I've seen other times where they do it and it's a penalty. I've seen other guys celebrate and it's fine. I've seen some guys celebrate and it's a penalty. So it's kind of weird. I feel like it depends on the officiating staff, depends what conference. So it is kind of like a weird rule where it's not defined. That's part of the reason why people say college sports is terribly run, because there's so much inconsistency when it comes to that stuff. But I kind of go with the NBA rule on this, where it's like you can do a hand gesture, you can do the Dikembe Mutombo finger wag, but you do it to the crowd. You do that gesture to the crowd. You don't taunt another player. You don't taunt another coach. You don't do that stuff. If you do, it's a technical foul. That's kind of how the NBA works a little bit. So I think that should be kind of the same rule, and that's kind of the standard I apply when it comes to like college sports. So with this situation here, if those players were doing that hand gesture at Texas players, if they were doing it at specifically Rodney Terry, I would have Rodney Terry's back on this, because we're going to show that clip here in a minute. But if you saw those players, they were doing it towards the crowd. They were doing it towards fans. So we'll go ahead here. And that's why I completely back it. They weren't doing it towards Texas players. I think that video kind of made it clear. So we'll go ahead and watch this video. There's basically this 1 minute response here of Rodney Terry in the post game talking about that whole situation.
I'm a big believer in, you win the right way, you lose the right way. And, I always tell my guys, whether you win or lose, you win the right way. You lose the right way. You carry yourself the right way. You don't go through the handshake line or prior to getting to the handshake line and have about 6 or 7 guys putting the horns down. We don't do that, because when you do those kind of things, it looks very classless, and it also looks like you were just hoping to win. We never go into games trying to hope to win. We go into games expecting to win. So we don't act like that. We expect to win. We don't jump up and down like we won a national championship. We sure don't step on anyone's home court deal and act crazy and try to show them up in any way. We don't do that. So that's what I was angry about, and I was letting those guys know you don't do that. You guys won.
Oops, sorry. All right. Yeah. So there you have it. There's Rodney Terry's response there. So very upset that the players are doing the horns down, said that they were doing it in their building, and that is very disrespectful. So here's kind of my situation on the horns down here too, specifically with that gesture. And I will go with the former Oklahoma head coach's kind of logic on this. And he said this quote, and I think it summers, it's maybe my favorite thing about Barry Switzer. There's maybe not a lot of things I like about Barry Switzer, but his quote, I'm paraphrasing here, was basically like, the hook 'em horns thing and the horns down thing, it's the same thing as somebody giving you the finger. When somebody, say your road rate, now this is my part here going out here. Basically, what he said is like, if someone gives you the finger, you give it right back. That's just kind of how we, you know, weirdly enough, communicate with hand gestures as human beings. It's kind of like an F you back. So that's kind of like the perfect, I think, expression here of hook 'em horns is like, hey, if someone gives you that gesture, you give it right back to them upside down. That's how you do it. Now here's where I think, so with that being said, Rodney Terry here is 100% wrong. He's 100% wrong. Because they weren't doing it at you, they were doing it towards the fans. And do you think those fans weren't doing the hook 'em horns when, Texas would hit a big three or something during that game, or they'd make a good stop? You don't think they were doing that? You don't think that those Texas fans may have been talking smack to those UCF players during the game? You don't think that they might have been talking expletives to them? So how would you rather have them trash talk back to them? How would you rather express their, kind of like their trash talk back to Texas fans? How would you rather them do it? Would you rather them yell expletives at them? Would you rather them do that? Because I don't think you would agree with that. Okay, so you don't think they should yell expletives at them. So your option is like, okay, Texas fans can trash talk opposing players, but players can't do anything back. They can't do anything back. They can't even do a simple hand gesture that isn't anything profane. The horns down is not profane at all, guys. It might be profane to Texas fans, and I'm telling you guys, if you go on to Twitter right now or any other site, no one else outside of Austin agrees with you. And if you're Texas and you think you live in a world where maybe one day we're going to live in this utopia where no one ever does the horns down thing, you're living in a fantasy land, dude. You are living in a freaking fantasy land if you think that is ever going to be a reality. The only way that would ever potentially be a reality is in the college sports future where like Texas basically is like the chairman, CEO, and like basically runs every aspect of their conference or even the entire sport. And they make a specific rule that they can't do the horns down thing. And even then too, I think guys will still do it. So like, the whole thing about the hook 'em horns thing, man, it's trash talk. And I actually think it's pretty civil trash talk. I think that's about as civil trash talk as we have in the entire sport. Is you guys do this, people do this back to you. You know how you get those guys to not do it? You kick their butts. They came to your house and kicked your butt, man. UCF was playing in the American last year, came to Austin, Texas, and kicked your butts. You guys were a preseason top 25 team, bro. And you guys got your butts whipped. And I think that's part of it, guys, because if you don't know the whole Rodney Terry kind of experience, he was an assistant coach to start off last year. Chris Beard has like the whole kind of disturbing situation with his wife. The people that run, the Texas basketball program, the athletic department, decided to fire Chris Beard. Rodney Terry steps in as an interim coach. It's very much a very heartwarming success story to a degree where if you know anything about Texas basketball, one, they have a high standard. Two, they have been very much underachieving in the NCAA tournament under Rick Barnes and under Shaka Smart. And, they have trust me, they have high standards at Texas for their football and their basketball programs. And last year, they made a run to the Elite Eight. Which is something, I don't know if Rick Barnes maybe did it. I could be wrong. I don't think he did, though, but I know Shaka Smart definitely didn't. So it was like, holy crap. We got a guy that like is really dark situation where we lose Chris Beard, but now we have like a really, good situation going on here with Rodney Terry. All the players love him, the fans love him, and they decide to, make him the full-time head coach. And I'm going to go ahead, guys, and show you this schedule here because I think this is maybe a reason why Rodney Terry, now you could say maybe he was redirecting his rage on how poorly Texas has done. Now they're not in a terrible situation. We'll get to that here in a second, but they have underachieved, let's say, so far this season. So I don't know if it's a Rodney Terry thing where he maybe was redirecting his kind of like anger of how like his team is underperformed and underachieved to start the season, where he was trying to like, maybe take that out on them, kind of like you hear that sometimes with like coaches when they do this stuff. Sometimes they will just send a message to other players. They will, talk to other players, or sometimes coaches will send messages about this stuff. About like, people being disrespected or trying to, maybe this is a motivation tactic in a way where it's like, he's like, hey, basically, using the media as a convoy to tell his players like, hey, we have to defend our home court. Cause that's kind of like, if you're in the Big 12 which is the best basketball conference in the country, If you want to win, if you want to make it to the NCAA tournament, basically the best way to do it is just defend your home court. If you go like 100% winning every game on your home court, then like you'll probably end up being okay and make the NCAA tournament just because you're going to have so many quality wins. So with that, let's go ahead and just show you guys Texas's schedule so far this season. So again, like I said, Texas isn't like in this terrible situation with the record or anything like that. So they're 12-5 right now, 1-3 in conference play. Their out of conference losses are all quality because they lost to Marquette. That was a top 10 team, still a very good team. And then they lost to UConn, who's the defending national champions, and they have a very good shot of repeating this year. But if you look, since they got into conference play, they lose at home to Texas Tech. Ugh. Win at Cincinnati. All right, solid. Loss at West Virginia. It's tough to play in West Virginia. Trust me. I'm an Iowa State fan. It's tough to play at West Virginia. But if you're Texas and this West Virginia team isn't that good, they're below 500 this year, you'd like to think you can win that game. And then you lose to UCF. So you're 1-3 to start conference play. You're tied for second to last right now. And this is Texas's upcoming schedule. If you look at the top 25 currently right now, guys, Texas has 14 games left. 11 of their 14 games for the rest of the season are against top 20 teams that are currently ranked in the top 25, including their next 6 are all against current top 25 teams. It's home against Baylor, at Oklahoma, at BYU, home against Houston, at TCU, home against Iowa State. That's a tough stretch. And if you went 1-3 in a stretch where you're 0-2 at home against Texas Tech and UCF, because you kind of like, again, if someone's in the Big 12 or maybe even just college basketball, you kind of look at all your home games, and even if it's a ranked team, top 15, 25 team, you're like, all right, if we're a solid tournament team, we should be able to win that game. But if you can't beat Texas, now Texas Tech is ranked now, by the way, because Texas Tech is 25 now. So Texas Tech is a very good team. And UCF too, their 2 wins are at Texas and at home against Kansas. So their resume is actually even, pretty solid too. If you lose to Texas Tech and UCF at home, Baylor can beat you at home. Houston sure as heck can beat you at home. Could Iowa State beat you at home? Like these are like, you have 6 losable games here. And if you're Rodney Terry, who, this is your first shot at being a head coach. And trust me, being the head coach of the Texas Longhorns in any sport is not an easy task. It just maybe seems like, hey, man, maybe there's a little bit of a thing here where maybe Texas fans, he's maybe been kind of hearing some. Now, I haven't necessarily been following the Texas talk here, but maybe there's some Texas fans here that maybe think like, hey, last year everyone rallied together, a little bit of a flash in the pan experience where we weren't expecting like this team to make a run like this. And, maybe that was just kind of like a one and done thing. And maybe Rodney Terry is hearing that stuff. He might be a little offended by stuff, and that might be why he's kind of lashing out and acting this way. And you could even say maybe it's a little bit of a tactic by him to redirect the rage of the fans from him, because again, they are not having the best, start to Big 12 play at least. And again, too, and now I'm not saying Texas is in danger of not making the tournament. I'm sure they will do fine over the stretch and end up getting into the NCAA tournament, but this is kind of an interesting situation here with Texas where that is a freaking gauntlet, man. They have a gauntlet. Playing the Big 12 is very, very hard. You have a lot of tough games coming up. And again, if you can't, if you struggled against Texas Tech at home, I think you have a few other things at home coming up that might also be, signs for concern. So let me know in the comments, guys. Let me know about the horns down thing. Let me know about what you think about Rodney Terry's job situation. I'm not trying to say Rodney Terry's in danger of being fired either. I'm not saying that one bit, but there might be a little bit of a thing here where he's like, or maybe he has a little bit of imposter syndrome where he's like, am I really up for this job? Like, I was just an assistant coach and, maybe I'm a little bit in over my head of running, one of the bigger brand college basketball programs in the country. Again, not saying that they are, but Texas fans view themselves that way. The Texas program views themselves as a name brand. So there you have it, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you like content like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that like video. Been doing this podcast now for a few years now. We're just starting now to put solo clips like this on Twitter where I kind of react to different types of stories. I talk college basketball, NBA, NFL, college football, all that stuff. So you like that kind of content, please hit that subscribe button. We're just starting posting videos on here for about a month now. So it really helped to kind of help the show grow and help support the work that I do. So thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll talk to you next time.